What funny notable stories do you have from sex ed? Teacher used cucumber for showing how to put on a condom on a cucumber. After class he wanted to throw it away. Kid asks if he could have it. Picked it up and took a bite out of it while walking out of the classroom. Teacher just stared after him like. A kid asked what semen tasted like. Someone did this in my GFS sex ed class when she was younger. And the teacher, not thinking, she just blurted out, "It is salty." Well, I guess the whole class of childish children had a field day with that info. Poor woman. The woman giving the period talk was dressed in a long skirt 1980s professional style. She lifted up her hands, spun around, and said, "Look at me, I'm menstruating right now." And you had never even know it. It went downhill from there. The lady had Velcro, and we had to tell her where to stick the body parts where they belong. The guy's penis fell off, and she said, "Oh no, my penis fell off." The class erupted in laughter. She was red for a long time. I have two good ones. The first one was in 6th grade. So first year of sex ed. There was a girl in class who was from a very religious family. So I assume she grew up sheltered from sex stuff. But after our teacher mentioned oral sex a number of times, she raised her hand to ask what that was. The teacher gave the standard scientific answer: when one uses their mouth to pleasure their partner's genitals. At that point students started making things up to mess with her. I vividly remember someone saying nasal sex, but there were a bunch of others. It was kind of mean, but funny. The other happened in freshman year of high school. Our presenter told us to never wear two condoms, because that drastically increased the change of them both breaking. From the back of the room someone yelled, "Oh shit." Our sex ed class was taught by a female health teacher. We will call her Phyllis, and a male guidance counselor. We will call him Kevin. This was the early 90s and the health teacher was rumored to be a lesbian, which was sort of a new concept to 6th graders at that time. The health teacher and guidance counselor would pull anonymous questions from a paper bag. Phyllis would answer the girl questions and Kevin would answer the boy questions. Phyllis reaches into the bag, pulls out a question, and says, "Oh, this one is for you," while handing the little piece of paper to Kevin. Kevin reads the question out loud. "Are you a lesbian?" He then says, "No, I'm not." He puts the question in the trash with the other answered questions and moves on without skipping a beat. It seemed apparent that it was probably not the first time some little prick tried that one, and they handled it like bosses. Sex ed teacher was showing how to put a condom on a simple plastic tube with a rounded end. It was sat on a plastic base of the same color. We all assumed it was one piece. She showed us how to put a condom on this plastic phallus. And then she said, "and to take it off," before proceeding to pull the condom and the plastic phallus it was on right out of its base. There was continuous laughter in the classroom for a solid 7 minutes. My teacher put down a sheet and said, "Today we are going to have intercourse." It was an activity where some people started with a chemical in their cup and people mixed cups, and at the end he would check which cups had chemicals in them. It was a pretty good activity for showing how fast STS spread. We the girls were told that having sex before marriage is bad, and that we were all too special to do something so awful as to have premarital sex. The sex ed teacher then bragged about her honeymoon in Tahiti and showed us pictures of a diseased uterus and compared it to a chocolate covered donut. We were in 2nd grade. My teacher wanted us to be comfortable with saying the word penis. So one day he told us to scream penis over and over until we feel comfortable. Well, I think the class next door was a little confused hearing penis over and over while taking a test. Also, the teacher of that class didn't seem too happy. Sophomore year of HS, my mother was the sex ed teacher on campus and went around giving demonstrations to all the classes about how to properly put a condom on, using a wooden dong as a prop. Long story short, someone approached me in the hallway and said, "Hey, your mom taught us how to put a condom on with her mouth." In 5th grade, our teacher made us watch a cartoon on a woman giving birth, and one kid fainted in his chair and smacked his head on his desk. Luckily he was okay, just had a headache, but it sure startled everyone. In 7th grade, my teacher was talking about oral and how to do it in a safe manner, and one kid asked how a blowjob felt like. My teacher went bright red and did not really give an answer from what I remember. And then another kid asked if he could catch an STD from using a public bathroom. And the last one I remember is from high school 10th grade. We had a guy and girl come in from some clinic to teach us sex ed course for some reason the teachers did not want to, or whatever it was. Anyways, there was at least 3-4 classes put into one for the sex seminar thing. And about halfway through they pulled out a painted wooden dildo for someone to put a condom on. It was painted blue, sliver, purple, and hints of black. They asked someone in the large group to get up and show us how it is done. No one got up, so the instructors had to do it themselves. After failing to get someone to volunteer, it was so awkward cause they tried so hard throughout the whole thing to get someone to participate and no one would. There was a kid in my class sophomore who was taking it as a senior. We had a guy come in who had AIDS to talk to us about the disease and regimen and whatnot. The kid was super homophobic and kept squirming in his seat whenever the guy would walk past. Turns out he contracted HIV from his 4th drug using wife. The teacher made the kid apologize for being a bag. Our school brought in a sex expert. She put us into groups and asked us what kind of porn we watched, taught us how to finger properly, how to flirt, and how to get girls into bed. It was very educational. In my elementary school, there was only one male teacher. He was the 5th grade teacher. 5th graders when they start sex ed, but back then it was called family life. For whatever reason, all the boys were separated from the girls for the puberty parts, but for the sex parts we were combined again. I remember during the puberty part, the male teacher made all of us boys sit in a circle. Some other teacher was observing him for learning purposes or evaluations or something. The other teacher asked him why he was doing that. The male teacher explained he called it the circle of discussion, and he said it brings the laughter and immaturity down to a minimum. Every time he said penis we would roar in laughter. I don't know why, but that word was hilarious back then. He would start yelling that we need to act like young men, but we just kept laughing. A kid in my class was hard of hearing, so at the beginning, the teacher goes, alright, I am gonna say all the provocative words right now to get the humor of it out of our system. Penis, vagina, testicles, breasts, and unbeknownst to all of us, at that moment, some fantastic god of mischief turned the deaf kid's hearing aids down. Just a little. I am sorry, what was that last one? Breasts. I am sorry, you really gonna have to speak up. At the top of her lungs, breasts. One more time. I am really sorry. To shake heaven and earth itself. Bree asks. Keep in mind, this was a lady teacher and I and everyone else in the room were boys. This one was on me. Back in high school, teacher pulls out a banana and a condom and asks if anyone in the class already knows how to put a condom on and would like to demonstrate. I raise my hand and am brought up before the class to demonstrate using a trick I learned from HBO's Real Sex. I spit on the banana, put the condom in my mouth roll side out, and proceed to deep throat the banana, which comes back out with a perfectly applied rubber. I add, if you do it right, you can put a condom on a dude and they would not even notice it is there. Some kid in the back exclaimed, that is the single gayest thing I have seen in my entire life. So I said thank you. In 6th grade, the boys and girls were separated for sex ed. At one point, some dudes decided to try to mess with the teacher by asking about shit like how often to masturbate and how blowjobs felt. The teacher did not really acknowledge their questions because they were known troublemakers and did not actually want an answer to those questions. When I got home I tried to look up blow drop and masturbate in the dictionary because I did never heard those words before, and that is what I heard. I was in public elementary middle school in the 90s and at a Catholic school from 2001 to 2005. Public school was just a few VHS public health movies about wet dreams and erections and stuff, but we always had to watch like 3 different videos that were just like AIDS will kill you. It's ducking everywhere. It's probably on you right now. Then Catholic school sex ed was just like, don't do it. When our health ed teacher basically told us if we ended up teen parents then we would be abusive for bringing in a child into the world where we could not even care for, and it would be best to just get an abortion. Also, I think some things about how we would be unable to emotionally care for them, right, because we are just children ourselves, especially because we cannot even hold on relationship with the other bio parent, let alone the child. Dig at the difficult kid that semester who would trash talk his daughter's mom. The one kid who had been difficult that semester stood up and basically gave the teacher a lecture about how he loved his little girl and nothing could ever drive him to abuse her in any way, and his insinuation was greatly offense. Just because him and the baby mama fought does not mean he would leave them, nor that he had leave her to fend for herself. They were broken up by then, but she had been kicked out of her home and him and his parents took her in, and she was welcome to live with them till after college when she could afford to move out. Also, he talked multiple times about how he and his wife were child free because he knew they could not afford it, and in general he did not want them. While she told students I had both of them, that they both mutually decided to not have kids because she could not bear to pass down a genetic disease disorder she had that would basically condemn them to a short life. But like the way she talked about it showed she would have kids if she could, and she would even mention about maybe adopting you in the near future, while he would say they would not even entertain the idea of adoption, again citing pay as the reason. 5th grade teacher. He was teaching us about circumcision, and he said you might notice some of them look different, but you do not need to ask what is it wearing a hat. Later we anonymously submitted our questions on a blank sheet of paper and I wrote, "This is weird. Do we have to do this again?" and everybody laughed. One kid brazenly took credit for it. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.